Hello everyone, this is Godzilla Wolf 1 with a toy review. Today I will be reviewing the Power Rangers Mega Force Deluxe Gosei Great Megazord. Gosei Great was the name of the Japanese version from Tensou Sentai Goseiger. I think the reason they kept that in is because the cards that play a big role in Goseiger all have the names of the mecha on them and stuff. So I don't think they could have changed that very easily. So, I mean, they could have edited in new names, but it would have been very time-consuming, so I guess they just thought it would be simpler to keep the names the same. Speaking of the cards, you get two cards with this toy. The Gosei Great Grand Megazord, which is actually the combined form of this Megazord and the Six Rangers mecha. Yeah, so I don't know why this came with it. It would make more sense to come with the Six Rangers' own mecha, but I guess they didn't want to. But anyway, and the Gosei Great card, which this is the Victory Charge card, which would activate the final attack of the mecha, which I think is kind of interesting. We're not sure what these cards are for. Apparently, they're going to be for some card game. They also get sounds from the actual morpher itself, the Gosei morpher. So, and I might try to get that. I'm not sure. That's my mom cooking downstairs. Anyway, moving on to the review. Let's take a quick look at the package. Now, I actually really like the packaging this season. Like, if you look on the back there, that's the Goseiger symbol, or the Megaforce symbol, which in Japan was Master Head. I think in America they actually are calling him Gosei. But, the top half is the Skyic tribe, the middle is, I believe, Seaic, and the bottom is the Landic tribe, and together they're all symbols. This uses the Zord Builder ports introduced with the Dino Megazord, so anything that can connect with the Dino Megazord or Samurai Megazord can connect to this one as well. There's the, same old, same old. There's the Rangers themselves. There's a picture of the actual suit. I'll actually mention that later on. Various other toys in the line they can combine with. Here's an interesting thing. In the Japanese version, these were simply sets of heads, but they added these jet things, which plays into the final combination. There's the Gosei Great Grand Megazord, and the Sixth Rangers mecha, which these are called Mechazords. And this is only one form of them. They actually can assume the proper Zord form from the show. And then the I think it's going to be called the Hyper Gosei Great Megazord, because it was Hyper Gosei Great in the Japanese version. And that one, which, it's out, but I haven't been able to find it. They eliminated one called Datus Hyper. I don't know how exactly I think in the show he becomes Tensou, but I don't know. Anyway, on to the toys themselves. Let's start with, well, from left to right. Sorry about that. The yellow, which is a tiger. Also, one thing to mention is each of the heads detach. In Japan, these were called headers. In America, they're just called Zords, and when they combine, they're Mechazords. But nice gold paint. I really like Bandai's gold paint. It's really cool looking, and the detail is very nice on this part. Like, you can see the inner workings and stuff. And also, the material feels a bit sturdier. It's not sturdier than Gosei Great. People have commented on that. But it feels sturdier than the mecha we've had in the last few years. This feels like higher quality plastic. Anyway, no, the mouth doesn't open. It does on the Japanese version. The head does roll on its own. It has its own little caster wheels. But, yeah. And it does roll pretty nicely. So let's move on to the shark. The shark had fins in the Japanese version. He doesn't here. Let's show this time. It doesn't have the screw holes. It's not bad. I don't think it's excellent. I like the silver paint. I like the gold paint. But I think that it would have benefited from having fins that folded up like the Japanese version had. The head's nicely painted. It's missing a bit of gold up here on the fin. The tiger's missing it too, but that was the cockpit in the Japanese version, which I don't so much mind that that's missing because the cockpits in the Japanese versions were located in really poor places in a lot of them. Oh yeah, and the tiger is modeled off a bulldozer because that's what the header combines with. This one is molded off a submarine. Also, I like the gold paint for the eye as well. Excuse me. Next is Phoenix, who is modeled off a jet. They missed a little gold paint, a little silver and pink paint right here. Not that big of a deal, really. The gold paint's nice, the silver's nice, that little pink up there's nice. One interesting thing, though, it's kind of hard to tell, but this is more like a lilac than a straight white. It's kind of showing up a little better on my camera. This is not plain white plastic, it's like lilac or something. It's hard to notice in real life. My mom noticed it before I did, and she's not even into Power Rangers. The blue eyes are nicely painted. Overall, these are very nicely painted, even if they're missing some paint apps. Finally, the Snake Megazord, which is the actually I think Dragon's longest, but it's missing green paint here for the windows. It's modeled off a train, which I like because that's just cool. We don't get a lot of trains. Yes, you can kind of tell it's a pelvis area. That's kind of a problem with it because they didn't make any effort to disguise that in the Japanese version either. But overall, it's not bad. Nice silver paint. I just wish they painted those green windows in, but I can do that myself if I get some green paint. The head, nice red eyes, nice fangs. So, nice overall. Anyway, and finally the dragon, who I personally think is the largest single main component mecha we've had for a long time. Jum Whale and Carrigator, those are the Japanese versions. The Whale Zord and the Crocodile Zord from RPM were probably might have been bigger, but they weren't the main mecha. This is like the only one that is I think we've had in recent years for one of the main 5 Rangers that is this big. I've compared it to the mecha composing the Dino Megazord and the Samurai Megazord. This dwarfs them. Like, even the Tyrannosaurus from the Dino Megazord is considerably smaller. I mean, this thing is just massive. I mean, it's huge. Yeah, the head's there. I really, really wish they'd molded in some plastic, right like that, to cover the face. Because then it could actually look like part of the tail. You know, those could just be auxiliary wings or something. But the way it's molded, you can tell that's a head, which is kind of dumb, but I understand why it's like that. I'll show that when we get to transformation. It's missing some gold paint right there on the toes, I think, but I'm not sure. There's supposed to be a stripe of gold paint on the neck and on the tail here, but that's missing. And the horn moves. One thing they did add is there's another joint, and nice gold paint on the wings, by the way. This wing has an extra joint here, which the Japanese version did not have. That's really handy for posing this on a shelf, because when you get to Gosei Great, the Japanese version can't fold its wings up, but Gosei Great can. And, you know, you can pose the dragon with its wings folded up, and that does not look too bad. So I like that they added that extra joint. I don't know if that was just something they decided to add because they could, or if there's a reason that we don't know yet that they added that. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get into transformation. We'll start with the snake. You bend it right here, and then right there. And then you plug the tiger in and fold both of these up to be proper feet, and you've got the lower half all formed up. Next you take the dragon Take the neck, collapse it into the body. That's different from the Japanese version. And for some reason mine is... Oh. Well, you gotta take the tail out first because apparently that's blocking it. Yeah, you can't... Apparently you can't put the neck in all the way with the tail there. Or you can, and I just messed up. But you just plop it down, and I'm sorry if I can't get this on camera, but this is honestly... Oh, well, there it goes nice that time. Anyway, next you take Phoenix, just fold her wings up, and pop her in place. Take Shark, split the tail fin, fold it down, pop him into place. Yeah, the ports are a little hard. Open the sword up right here, pop the head out, and just snap it in place on top. Fold the sword back up, stick it in the hand, and you're done. Now, I will admit that is a really simple transformation, but it's not bad. And actually is a little... People were complaining that Gosei Great had a lot of parts forming, and they eliminated a bit of that because in the Japanese version, the neck, instead of collapsing into the body, separated and became part of the sword, which you can see on the card when he's... If I can get the glare. See, the sword is different on the card. I like the sword better this way. Yes, the head is still parts forming, but at the same time, that makes more sense than having the neck be parts forming, in my opinion. Because the head on the original would just flip down inside, which now can't happen because the neck needs to collapse into the body. But I think that so there was really no way they could do that, but I think the head snapping on like that works better because the other heads for the mecha, for the Megazord, snap on the same way, so it makes more sense for the head to parts form than the dragon's neck. Anyway, as you can see, not a lot of detail has changed or been revealed, but now, you know, there's the belt buckle, which has the Gosei emblem on it. The sword, I wish the sword was painted with that gold. It would look a lot better. But I think it looks more like a sword now. You got some nice silver paint down here. And now this has been revealed on the Shark, which is rather nice. Same stuff as on the Phoenix. The articulation, you know, standard... Except you can't go much further than that because of the wings. But really, organically, you cannot do that anyway. You can reach your hand up all the way up there, but it really wouldn't need to. I don't feel there's a lot of poses lost due to the wings being here. I wish the head could turn, or that they'd had the ports molded so that you could put it on in different ways, but you can't. Overall, it's pretty cool looking, and it looks a lot like in the show, but it's more streamlined, which I think works in its favor because it looks more show accurate, except for the missing paint apps and the tail being different. And like I said, you can actually fold the wings up on this version if you want to. This one is kind of scary tight. But anyway, you can do that or fold them all the way up. Which you actually do fold them back like this for some of the transformations. I mean, not all the way back like this, but back behind the back. So, this is good for collectors who are going to display this thing and don't have the shelf space for the full wing spread. So I like that part, and you can display it like that, which looks more realistic, to be honest, but... Yeah, like I said, this one's kind of scary tight, and I don't like moving it all that much. Size comparison, I don't have my Samurai Megazord out because it's presently combined with the Claw Zord to be the Claw Armor Megazord, and I don't feel like taking it apart. But here is the Mighty Morphin Megazord, which, as you can see, is a bit bigger, but I think there's a reason for that, and that reason is... like I said, the Dragon Megazord is probably one of the biggest sized Zords we've had for a while. And this one has these wings, it has this big old sword, it has the neck That's one problem, though. Sometimes the neck pulls out with the dragon on it like that. See? It just did it now. Sometimes it just, the head pops off and you have to pull the neck out anyway. I don't like that, but I understand why. Because if this came out by itself, then if you wanted to pop the head off to eliminate one of the attacks, you keep pulling the neck out. So I understand that. But like I said, it has this neck on it, so, and the plastic feels feels higher quality than what we've been getting. So I understand why it's shorter. The size hasn't changed all that much, but I think this one used more plastic than normal because of the wings and the neck and the sword. So I think that's why, because they had to use more plastic for it. So I'm not complaining about the smaller size. Plus, Gosei Great was smaller as well than other mecha, so I'm not complaining. Now, here's the question: should you buy this? Well, it has higher, in my opinion, it has a lot of play value because, like I said, and the Dino Megazord share the Zord Builder ports. So if you have been collecting for the past 2 years and have the Samurai line of Zords and the Dino Megazord, they can limb swap right out of the box, so you got that option. Those motorcycles and stuff can combine with this. And another thing is the other toys in the line. This is not a limb swap season entirely. Yes, you do swap the heads around, but the way it will happen is you pop one of the heads off and put them on another one of the ports. So, and that was one of the fun parts that people were talking about Gosei. So you can do something like that. Something I've been doing just for laughs is to do something like this. You know, you can do that. You can do stuff like that if you so choose. It's one of those things where the only limitations are how many ports are on the body and what sets you have. You can go crazy, like I showed on the box. Hyper Gosei Great is going to use most of all these ports and more. So it's one of those. I think this is one of those toys that, if you've been collecting the past toy lines, it has a lot of play value, and I think that's a big thing. And plus, if you get all of the other sets, you're going to have even more because this doesn't limb swap, so you're not going to have the Zords from this one just sitting off to the side somewhere. So, and it's not that different than Gosei Great is. Yes, some of these mouths opened in the Japanese version, and this one doesn't. But that and having a different sword and the head flipping around are the only functionality you really lost. So, and it looks good. I mean, from the front you can't tell there's any missing paint apps, really. One thing though, the header ports on the Japanese version were all black. I think it actually looks better this way. It's less distracting, to be honest. So, is this better than Gosei Great? I'm going to say no, because that had better plastic, and I think a few things like the head were handled better, but I still think this is a fair replacement. I don't think that you'd be losing out to buy this one over Gosei Great if this one is more in your price range. And plus, Gosei Great, you would have to track down all his header components if you want to complete the set. This one, you'll be able to buy them all here on American shores, and on top of that, Gosei Great really could not mix and match parts with any other line, because the next year with Gokaiger, they went back to an older style of connection port, so it could that were cross compatible with older seasons like Hurricaneger, Abaranger, and stuff like that. So I think that you've got more play value out of the Gosei Great Megazord than you had out of Gosei Great. Because it has all the play value that Gosei Great had, with a few exceptions, and more. So I honestly think that unless you're really, really, really wanting that better painted, higher quality toy, I think that this one is a very good buy. And plus, the next season is Gokaiger, and the last 3 years have all been able to limb swap with each other. So I think that if Gokaiger continues the mech build, the Zord builder system, it's going to be a lot better. I think that that's going to be for its benefit, because that means in the last 3 years we'll all be able to limb swap with the anniversary season. So I think that if you can find this and you're not really that dead set collector that has to have the Japanese version, go for this, because it's actually better than what we've been getting for a while now. Okay, this has been Godzilla Wolf 1 with a toy review. I'm sorry I rambled on a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed it.